Here's my hot take. It is absolutely useless to have a lot of Instagram followers if none of them buy from you. In this episode, I'm going to break down how you can build an engaged community of customers that actually buy from you. So I teach really in-depth marketing strategy and marketing execution lessons in my Launch Your Brand course. But today I wanted to strip out a small lesson around Instagram strategies because we've been getting a lot of DMs and a lot of comments on our YouTube videos around how you can execute on Instagram so that you actually get customers. So let's talk about it. So here are some strategies I would really recommend you follow to be able to grow your Instagram, but also attract the right type of people to follow you. Because yes, it's great to have people that support your brand and cheer you on, but at the end of the day, you are doing social media so that you can build your brand and build a community of customers that will buy from you. So let's talk about how you can build a community that will convert. The first strategy I always tell our Launch Your Brand course clients is to give value, because at the end of the day now there's so much noise. There's a bajillion Instagram accounts, a bajillion TikToks, and people are just pumping out content left, right, and center. And so in order to stand out, you need to give value to people. People need to either learn something, get a giggle, or whatever it is out of your content. And in order to figure out what value you're providing, you need to know your ideal customer inside and out. So do market research, do surveys, do interviews, but really figure out how you can add value to their lives beyond just the superficial, this is aesthetic photos they'd look at or whatever it is. It needs to be deeper than that. The other thing you constantly want to think about is why would someone follow you? Why are they engaging in this content? How is it going to add value to their life? And you also don't want to be plugging your products 24/7, because if you think about the accounts you follow, it's likely because you get something out of it. That's not just promotional stuff or spammy stuff 24/7, because that gets old really quickly. So think through what your ideal customer is struggling with, and to help illustrate this, I'm going to give you a few examples. So I once had a client that was starting a wedding dress company, and her ideal customer is obviously brides-to-be. And she did a lot of market research around what brides were struggling with in regards to their wedding dress, their wardrobe in general, their life, and this period and this stage in their life, right? So she did all of that, and she realized that she could do a lot of wedding planning tips. She could do tips on how to find the perfect dress, tips on bridesmaids dresses. She just did little tips around this topic, and this reached her ideal customer because other brides-to-be would send it to their friends that were currently in the planning process. And it was a really organic way to grow her account, but also at the same time, she was able to give a lot of value and build up that trust and that loyalty amongst her community. She was really strategic about the content she was putting out. She's not talking about, driving cars or whatever, something completely different from what her ideal customer would be interested in. You really want to make sure that your ideal customer would resonate with this content and find it helpful. And then you can take it one step further and, of course, do call to actions, layer in your products subtly as well. When she was giving wedding dress tips, obviously she would be check out our dresses because I thought of all this or whatever. But you can make the tie-in, but you do just not want to shove your products on people's throat 24/7, because like I said, that gets old really quickly. Another example to really illustrate this is one of my clients created this beautiful work tote bag. And her ideal customer, or her target customer, was corporate working gals 25 to 40. And so she knew that a lot of them were going through career transitions, and she did a lot of market research around, what they're struggling with in their career, what they need in terms of a work tote bag. And she gathered all of that. And so she decided to create a lot of content around getting promoted at work, how to do salary negotiations, how to balance planning for your maternity leave, how to balance a career and raising a family. All really relevant topics for her ideal customer, and they all love this content. And then, obviously, again, she subtly ties in her products, which was a tote bag, and it did really, really well for her. So think about how you can add value to people where they're at or what they're dealing with. So you really need to get to know your ideal customer inside and out, and giving value is always the best strategy. And so specifically on Instagram, I would say it's definitely quality over quantity now. I know before a lot of people were you need to post 2 to 3 times a day, you need to post reels, all this stuff. But nowadays, I really think that the algorithm and people in general on the platform are favoring really well thought out and intentional pieces of content. So if you don't have something to say, it's better not to post it or not to say it to begin with, because you're just contributing to the noise and it's not going to perform well, and it's just going to add unnecessary work to your plate. I'd rather you post 3 times a week, make it really, really good, than like bust your butt trying to post like 3 times a day, right? So be realistic and really accept that it's quality over quantity. And more tactically, you generally want to be posting reels and carousels right now. Those are what's doing well, and you want to be thoughtful around what you post. Again, it goes back to how you can add value, how this contributes to your brand overall. And at the end of the day, we can all moan and groan about the algorithm, but good content performs, and just take it as a sign if your content's not doing well that something needs to change and you need to dig deeper. So look at your analytics and really see what's going on. Another thing I wanted to mention too is that don't just take tips from anyone and apply it to your business. While it's really helpful on Instagram to look at like Instagram marketing people and see what they're doing, I think you always need to take it with a grain of salt, because they may not be talking to people that are running a D2C brand or a fashion brand like you. So you want to make sure that whatever strategy you're going to incorporate is going to work for your business, because a lot of the times I find that people talk to like service providers, or let's say like someone that has a branding agency, like their strategies are probably not necessarily going to filter through and work for you. So you just want to be really cognizant about who you take advice from. And at the end of the day, like I keep mentioning, it all goes back to really building trust with your community and also adding value. So just remember that that should always be your North Star. I also wanted to talk about engagement, because some of my clients recently were like, oh, do you still need to comment on everything? Like, is that still really important? And yes, you should comment, but not for the algorithm. You should comment for your community. I think that genuine engagement and genuine connection with your community is so important. So I don't want you to just do it for the algorithm. Like, I want you to do it to actually build a connection and build trust amongst your community. So stay curious when people DM you or they leave comments, like really try to engage in a meaningful way that's not robotic. And it's just so great when you see brands genuinely developing a connection and staying close to their ideal customer. Another thing I would do too, if you haven't already, is make sure you're following all your top customers, or just all your customers in general, so that you can be tapped in to their lifestyle, what they're doing, and you just know them inside and out, so that you can keep creating better content for them. If you love this and you want to dive deeper, I highly recommend you check out my How to Launch a Profitable Sustainable Fashion Brand Masterclass. In this masterclass, I'm going to talk way more in depth about how you build a community from scratch. I go into like the content pillars you should be talking about, how you can build up for a launch so that you're successful. So highly recommend you check out that masterclass. It is absolutely free, even though I probably should charge for it. And in addition to those marketing strategies and content pillars and everything else you're going to get, I also break down how to create a product that people actually want and are dying to get their hands on. And I talk about how you can source sustainable materials and ethical manufacturers as well. So make sure you snag a spot to the masterclass. You can watch it literally right after this video, or you can watch it right after you listen to this podcast episode. And you can access it at recloseted.com/masterclass. The link will be in the show notes for you and in the description as well. And I am really excited for you all to implement these Instagram strategies, and I look forward to seeing them out in the wild.